Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Today I want to talk about Fire Emblem Fates Revelation. And more than anything, this is just me wanting to get all my thoughts out rather than an actual well thought out put together video. This is going to be kind of rambly, and a big part of this is I need your help. I need you to help me decide why people dislike these maps that I'm going to talk about today. And I went through and picked out, I think I have 7 picked out. And these are the chapters that I think I've seen the most complaints about in Fire Emblem Fates Revelation for being too gimmicky. And again, the purpose of this video is for me to share my kind of general thoughts, and then I really need help from you guys to know whether or not you dislike this map, whether you like it, why you dislike it, why you like it, what do you think it does well, things like that. And that will really help me. Your comments really help me while I'm writing a script for a video down the line. So let's get started. So Fire Emblem Fates Revelation, after chapter 6, it moves into chapter 7. Obviously, that's the stupidest thing I've said today. But that's the first one I want to talk about, is chapter 7, which is called, let me make sure I have this set up correctly on Streamlabs so you guys can see it. It's called Unspeakable World. Unspeakable World. This is the chapter where you only have Gunter, Corrin, Azura, and your retainer. So either Jacob or Felicia, depending on which gender you picked for Corrin. And it's a weird winding pathway. So you can see it here. If I click on the picture, does it make it bigger? No, that's bad. Okay. Boo, this website. Anyways, here's the map layout. And it's mostly obscured to you, and there's like different branching paths to take, right? But if you go the wrong direction, it warps you back to the previous room that you were in, essentially. And you have to like just kind of trial and error until you get to the right place. There's different paths and treasures to get along the way, and it's honestly, I think it's pretty entertaining. So I think the most common complaint I hear about this map is it doesn't feel like Fire Emblem, and I get that. It's very different. It's more dungeon crawly than Fire Emblem-y at this point, but I think it's still fairly interesting in that it innovates on the series. That's something that Fire Emblem is honestly not that good at. Fire Emblem doesn't innovate as much as you would hope. They have little things here and there that are interesting and change the series. You know, Genealogy, I think, might be the most different of the first 5 games in the series, right? But then we get to, FE5 is basically just FE3, except with a few more mechanics on top of it. And then the GBA games are all basically the same. Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn are basically the same game in terms of gameplay and the style of gameplay. I mean, there's some differences here and there, of course. And I might talk about that at some other time. But essentially Fire Emblem has been the same game for a long time. And this chapter is just one example of a time when it broke away. And I personally enjoy this chapter quite a bit, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Why do you dislike it, or why do you like it? I really do think you could go either way on this one. Okay, let's move on to the next chapter, which is Wanderers, or Wanderer. This is Fuga's Wild Ride. That's the joke. With all of the let me get rid of this stupid head. Has all of the the wind paths that at the end of the enemy phase turn you'll be blown around, or at the end of player phase you'll be blown around and stuff, which I get that can be frustrating, but it gives you all the information. So I don't see why this is annoying, personally. I don't see why this is annoying. It is fairly easy to understand. I think it's communicated well to the player where the wind is blowing. You just look at it and you can see where you're going to go. You might not know exactly how many spaces you're going to move, and that might be a bit of trial and error, I guess. But overall, it's basically, oh, I'm going to fly across this gap now and be up here instead of where I am now. And it's something you can plan for. There's no reason for it to be a surprise, if that makes sense. So I don't really see why people complain about the Fuga's Wild Ride, the wind passage and tunnels and stuff. Especially at this point where you have at least one flyer in Tsubaki, and that helps. But also, Corrin is just going to be, even by this point, Corrin should be like super over-leveled, powerful, so I don't see the hate for this chapter being as justified. But again, share your thoughts in the comments for this chapter. Why do you like Wanderer? Do you like the wind paths and all that? Especially in the early game where the enemies aren't as scary as like in Conquest. You get to this rather late. So yeah, share your thoughts. Do you like it? Do you not like it? And why? Alright, next, Voice of a God. This is the ice level. This is the ice level that everyone, I think most people dislike. So this little map here, it's hard. I know it's hard to see. This is as big as it gets. I don't know. I might be able to control plus it to be bigger. I can. Dope. But now this is off center. Whatever. We'll just deal with it for now. I'm sorry, guys. This is how it's gonna be. But we can see this a little better now. How much bigger can we make it? That's as big as we're gonna go. All right. So we have essentially you have to attack snow to make it disappear and show the path. So without any snow, it looks like a pretty generic, although stacked with enemies. All the red dots are enemies, right? That's like kind of a lot of enemies to deal with all at one time. But that's on purpose, because the ice makes it so you only have to deal with so many at a time. And you also get a bunch of stat boosters for digging. So could you just make a beeline for the boss up in the top left corner? Yeah, and just finish the chapter, because that's when you win. You kill him, you seize his position. It's a seize map. But the game rewards you for going out of your way to destroy all the ice and get a bunch of stat boosters, which is honestly a pretty sick reward. So this is another one that I think I enjoy more than most, but I see why people dislike it. I think I would enjoy it more if there was a higher deployment. Only having 6 units on the map can make it more tedious than it needed to be. So overall, I like it, I think, but I see why people dislike this one for sure. But again, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you like Voice of a God, the snow shovel map? Let me know. Oh, now we're all over the place. All right, next we have oh, this one's great. Seeds of Doubt, the switching bridges, right? So this is the one where the bridges change every turn. Right? And I can't remember. Can you affect it with like, you can affect it with like dragon veins and stuff, right? That's how it works. So you have control over it at the very least, so that's nice, right? I wonder if I -1 here, if that centers it a little bit. That's a little better, I think. So I see this is one that I actually think I dislike, because it feels more inhibitive to your progress than other maps that do similar things like this. And there's a lot of treasure chests and you want to get all over the place. So yeah, I'm not too hot on this one. If you have a bunch of flyers, it's not that big a problem. But there are like Kinchi Knights flying around that make it more frustrating if you have flyers, because, you know, they are all going to deal effective damage. So I get that. Like, if we look through here, yeah, there's... Actually, yeah, there's a few Kinchi Knights listed here, and that's on let's look at Lunatic. Yeah, there's quite a few Kinchi Knights listed, it looks like. At least a couple. And then also just... Molig Knights, Falcon Knights. Yeah, there's quite a few just like annoying flyer enemies that you'd have to deal with. But overall, I think at this point, you probably have at least a couple flyers. So, I don't know. Yeah, this is one that I don't have a super strong opinion one way or the other. So please let me know in the comments how you feel about Seeds of Doubt, the bridge switching chapter. Alright, next we have Going Forward. going forward, this might be one of my favorite maps in the game, and a lot of people hate it. A lot of people dislike it. So when you step on the blue areas, enemies and yourself will be in your like advanced class or the promoted class, and red does the opposite. It demotes you. And I think that is such a fun, cool mechanic that we haven't seen before, right? It's another instance of doing something experimental that I think Fire Emblem should look more into. It is a really interesting mechanic, because that's something that you don't usually see as free-flowing or see as something that actually changes, but they make it something that is kind of a fluid thing. You can promote and unpromote even like multiple times on the same map, and I think that's really entertaining personally. So, and you even have the opportunity to affect which spaces are what by using a dragon vein, so that's cool. But yeah, so I'm really hot on this map actually. I think this one's really dope. I've never looked at this map and said this is dumb, I hate it. I've actually always pretty much liked this one a lot. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you like going forward? Why do you like it? Why do you dislike it if you do? So please share your thoughts. Okay. Next we have Arete Undone. This is another bridge moving chapter, and I think these are the ones that people dislike the most, right? So here's the initial layout. Again, I know it's hard to see because it's kind of small here, and I don't have any better way of pulling up a map without playing through the game, which I'm not going to play through it before I essentially I just haven't gotten footage yet, is what I'm saying. But I'll probably play it through on stream to get footage. But it moves around, and I think this is interesting at the very least. There's the 4 tile moving platforms that go all over the map, right? And really, there's only like 2 different spots, and they just move back and forth, right? There's no Dragon Vein activation, so you can't really manipulate anything that way, which I think people would like it more if there was some more player-guided manipulation of these tiles. But really, it's just like cycles. It just happens over and over again, right? So it's something that you can plan on and work around. It's not like random. So I get it being different. It's not something you're used to in Fire Emblem, limiting the movement of your units this much, but I think it's interesting, and it forces you to pair off units and send them together to do things in what might feel more dangerous, you know? So yeah, I like this map. I think it's actually pretty dope. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Do you dislike it? Why do you dislike it? And please share why you like it if you do. The really important part is the whys, guys. I want to know the whys. And the last one we're going to look at is Blades Drawn. Blades Drawn. So this is another moving platforms one that makes people upset. Essentially, they're just moving, like, they're kind of like elevators that you have to like step into, and if you're blocking the door, they won't move. But if you step into them, they will move from one spot to another. And the goal is defeat boss, and like the boss's room will move too. It's a whole cluster of things that'll happen. You have to activate Dragon Veins and stuff, I believe. So I think it's entertaining. But again, this is one that I get why it frustrates people. Because honestly, in Fire Emblem, separating your units is usually a bad idea, right? People, like, that's something that you're like taught, is like, don't separate your units. But I think that, and like you look at it, you're only going to have access if you put someone, like, you don't have access to both sides ever on one path, you know what I mean? So that's also probably frustrating to people. But I think I think it's this chapter is overhated for sure. So yeah, this is another one that I don't have a super strong opinion on this one. So please share your thoughts in the comments. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And please share why. Again, the why is important. But yeah, that's it. Those are the chapters I specifically thought of and want to talk about in a future video, I think. Maybe we'll cut out Seeds of Doubt, or not Voice of a God, like a Read Undone, one of those. I'd be interested to hear if there's other maps you guys want me to talk about. There are some other ones that are gimmicky, and I don't like the word gimmicky because I don't feel like that really does justice to what the maps are doing. They're really trying to innovate and be new and different, and Fire Emblem doesn't have enough of that. But let me know if there's other maps that are like this, that have these newer aspects to them that you would want me to cover. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading the comments and seeing your thoughts. It'll be good. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time, friends.